Blessings and welcome forward to Reasonings right here at the Trail Life. I'm your host, Jerome Sage Butler. Just welcoming you to season 3 of our blessed offerings, adding to the clarity and to the very essence of value or even meaning, if possible, in your lives. It has been an interesting start to another cycle called year, and as we advance closer towards what some would call the manifestations of prophetic events, we are holding our breaths as we see the very divergent manifestation of these events occurring in front of our very eyes. And to a lot of traditional Bible-fearing Christians, this is, a time of, girding up your belt, so to speak, getting ready for an age that's going to be wrought with tribulation. And for others who are young to the ministering of such words and such thoughts over time, you might think it's just, the off balance of socio-political and, economic, troubles in the world. But the old traditionalists would say wars and rumors of wars. And it's been placated around our consciousness for a pretty long time. And here it is now that a lot of these events are coming to an end. But not to be fatalistic or to be apocalyptic or anything. Just understanding that we are in some very turbulent times. And as such, people's faith is proving true or really truly being tested. Whichever one it is, I say, I pray that there is strength, certainly enough encouragement that you or I or whoever it is that is going through these trying times can survive by the fervent prayers and belief that we hold in Yahuwah. Yeshua is here as our guiding principle and presence and our Savior made real, made living, made eternal, activities, behaviors, ways of being. And that is definitely a choice. And when you have chosen, it then becomes your modus operandi, your way of life. So we're going to talk about something that has been on my mind for maybe a year or two. I did not know necessarily how to put it into a kind of a presentation, because remember back in the day, my skills were based upon what were being taught in academia, how to structure an argument. And then so this year I said, listen, I think I'll come out to the didactic, presentation and just make it fluid. So essentially, what it is I was, so perturbed about is that there is a plethora of information presented on, let's just say, a holistic way of living, a holistic approach to life, or an alternative way of living that is separate and apart from the Babylonian Western, political structure, socio and economic ways of life. And there are many pundits who obviously see the necessity for living a life that is far more cyclical and with reciprocity and a wholesomeness. So my issue though is with the people who are taking that genuine desire in a lot of people to escape from that, and then some would say take advantage of that innocence to really lead people astray from their faith. And that is something, a very serious thing. People watch my channel, people watch my videos, right? People take information from my videos, and people might say, I might be a little bit of a hero to them in a way that, whoa, this guy's brave to do certain things, and I respect that. But if you notice, I always say to people, don't make this thing be like you're putting me up too much, because then you'll be negating the very reality of my humanness. And people say, well, yes, Jerome, they're great humans, they're humans that I've encouraged, but I ain't gonna supplant for your own knowledge and your own will and your own application of your knowledge and your will. And I made that very clear. No mind games. So this moment, after my long preamble, my topic really is say it in your own words, say it in your own voice. Now, all of that, you're like, how does that connect? You'll see. So because we including me, because that's what I'm saying, we search, we seek for clarity and information. We were socialized, a lot of us, in our religious and moral, ethical behaviors and indeed ways of life, right? So here we are, chatting through, praying, and we love that way of life. And in one way or the other, we found out that was like, our way of life. And then we found out more things. We found out that okay, there was other stuff happening in our physical environment, in our cultural environment, in our religious environment, and it bothered us. It bothered us that it was happening for such a long time. So some of us detached, right? We become detached from the status quo, the existing viewpoints of our reality. So then we begin to splinter and search in many avenues. Now, everyone wants a hero. Now, the hero of Christendom is Christ, right? And we don't need another hero, but that is our hero. And from our hero, many minor heroes, just to use a term to say the roles, not the person, has arisen over time to carry out the works of the hero of our soul, to really be the savior, the saving grace of our natures. So we already have our heroes. But then when you depart from the way in which we were educated, finding out that there was a lot of manipulation and a whole lot of things that we didn't know. So then this new identity, or this search for a new identity, begin to arise. And some people might not call it identity. Some people might just say, well, they want to live a life that is not systematic. And, in any case, then you begin to trot for that. You find yourself finding new heroes. Now, the heroes that you're finding filled with many arguments about how we came into being. Because there's always a question people ask, right? Who am I? Why am I here? How is all of this made, right? So these deep spiritual, philosophical, and natural questions, I wouldn't relegate them to just philosophical or just religious. Natural questions. And then here are these people presenting answers, like, wow, he's like, you watch Jerome Sage but your life, and it's like, wow, this is life, and you're like, yeah, I have an answer. And then you say, you know what I mean? I want to be like Jerome. I want to live, and just come out of the system. Right back to my point. See what I'm saying now, right? You want to come out of the system because look at all of this, right? I got, Jerome's got all of that, right? And Jerome don't seem to be, complexed or messed up by the fact that, he has to live this way. He seems like he's okay with it. He likes it. And he doesn't seem to be, caught up in the system. Heck, he's doing these videos, right? And then you project. You attract and project in that case. Let me just be honest, right? You attract a certain kind of favor from Jerome Sage Butler. Maybe you leave messages, maybe you say things, right? And you project that image that is you onto Jerome Sage Butler. You attract the image that is Jerome Sage Butler onto yourself. Superimpose it, so to speak. And with all of Jerome Sage Butler's moral arguments and attitudes and survival skills, here it is now that you see them as your survival skills. You've engrafted it into your life. And, well, it's good, right? He's surviving. He's getting along, through stuff that's happening. He seems to be, advancing. So I know, I want to do that. That's who I am. But here's the problem. Number one, you're speaking in someone else's voice. Subtle. You are speaking someone else's words. Subtle. Now, the one that I follow within the parameters of life, Yeshua does permit us to reproduce his words. It's not a plagiarism. It's not a plagiarism unto him. Right? But he is our hero. He's our divine savior. A sacred divine being clothed in our human life form. It's a whole new parameter, different parameter to analyze that state of consciousness and being versus our human, transient dual viewpoints. Like, I want to be like Jerome. I want to be like whoever these heroes we begin to ascribe our countenance to and our belief systems and our ways of life too. So we've already realized that we've shifted the real hero out. So we're continuing on our argument. Now there's people now, right? They recognize these things, right? They see these things like, yeah, you know what I mean? That's the way it should be. But they need their motivator. And others see that. And then they begin to present themselves so like they're a motivator, like they're a true motivator. But what they're really doing is annexing people of their true identity. Because basically what they're doing is supporting a person's delusion to assume themselves another. So they carry on promoting the hero worship. They promote the hero worshipping. They got people into this maze, this amazing confusion of intellectual, meat and, dimensions of thoughts, and they've got people hooked. They're saying good things. I'm saying good things. But I'm also saying truthful things, somebody, which is far more important than just saying good things or saying things people want to hear. So these individuals, these charlatans of truth, of consciousness, they attract the people's energy, enlarging themselves and depressing the people who come to them for information. But it takes two to tango. For direction, it takes 3, 4, 5 to make one big idiot out of us all. So you got the core followers who come in and have supplanted onto that consciousness, onto that person's idea, that person's belief of who and what they are. And as others begin to engraft into that idea, those close by begin to engraft an idea of their own too, which is like a, what do you call it, a shark remora relationship. But so many people are taking unto themselves identity, taking unto themselves the words of others, the voice of others, the vibration of others, destroying the sanctity that is their own lives. Now hear me very carefully. If you truly understand that there is a divine aura, essence, very fundamental core to your human experience, then the forms the experience takes is not the central thing. The essence of it is the life therein. It is sacred. The source of it all is sacred. The existence thereof is sacred. And as such, the honor of knowing your true self, your true nature, supersedes all things. So when you have come to your awakened state, you recognize yourself to be who you are, but just as clean or as confused as any other, not needing the comparative analysis between yourself or another to make sense of your reality. It is good when amazing characters who are forwarded and afforded in the ability of clarity that they can see. They truly can see sight beyond sight, sight within sight. And they can amass a clarity. And truly they can be a bridge unto our own clarity. But when we then supplant them as our identity, or we then engraft them into our identity in an overwhelming magnitude, what we have simply done is annihilate ourselves, annihilate our voice, annihilate our words, basically annihilating our existence. This mechanical, systematic drone mentality might be promoted in a mass context, but it is still not wholesome nor healthy for the individual on a singular or on a plural stage. The true identity that the Most High has gifted us with, it is our lives. So when we then allow individuals who catch wind of our inner stirrings, likened unto the true dark Lord of creation, they really jump in at some very interesting points of our own fears and our own doubts. It is like, hear us now, no? I mean, what is this all about? I've spent my entire life in the church and come to find out my pastor is this. Come to find out that, the greatest person I thought as a missionary is this or is that, or has cheated us or has deceived us, and that the church supported certain things in slavery. And you begin to understand things of the behavior of those who sit in power over us. And they sense these things. They begin to tell you now to commit your life to them, because they have the answers. Well, they've been in your situation. They've been civil servants. They've been, true stalwarts of church administration or of the kind of family system that they've been groomed in. So essentially, they say to you, well, I understand where you've been, and hence I can offer clarity on that. I have a solution. So they take people out of themselves, really. But they are like a battery source, a power source to these people's ego. And one might think an ego is just a overly verbal state of being for some people, or over embellishment rather of a person's place in reality. But if that was the case only, then egos in terms of the psychological text would be really plausible and admissible as healthy to our psychological development. But what that ego is that really and truly you have created a pattern within the cosmos, a literal pattern likened unto a life form, because it is made of life force. So what you are doing is giving your life force to this entity, increasing its life energy, depressing your own life energy. Now, there are lots of people who like to make cross analysis between followers of Christ or Christendom. I can call it the church. Remember, I chose not to cause no friction. I ain't thinking like another person is thinking, sure, right? And they love to make this parallel analysis about, well, that's the same thing Christians is asking to do, but let me challenge you. Let me challenge you. It is exactly the same thing, right? But let me tell you something. What are you getting back? What are you getting back from subscribing your energies to these entities? I can tell you the evidence bear true to what is gained. And what is gained is a whole lot more complication, sorrows, and suffering that are created by our behaviors, our attitudes of allowing ourselves to live in someone else's word, living in someone else's voice. Now, when we live in the voice of Yeshua, I can tell you what happened. Liberation is what happens. Clarity is what happens. What happens is that you are broken free from this subjugation under this regime. The many contexts are all the same. You are free from the curse of the overlords. That's what happens. You are given back unto the Most High, the divine. You are returned to yourself. So that Jerome Sage Butler, as an example, can be like this and have my own voice. The clergy doesn't speak for me, and I do not speak for the clergy. But I speak of Yeshua, of my experience of Yeshua. Take it or leave it. I have my own voice. I have my own words. And they are the words that are given to me by the Most High. But yet, I will use the words of Yeshua. Because like I said, he causes no plagiarism. He gave us access. So let us continue for those who like to parallelize, if I can coin that word, in their parallel analysis of those who are caught up, are taken into their human heroes, their beta, let's say, their beta heroes, right? But the true alpha of our consciousness, Yeshua, when he is in your reality, when you have engrafted him into your life, let Jerome tell you, because I'm using myself as the example in this context. Morality, because there was a lot of immoral and still is. But his presence in me is transforming me to lose that, to get rid of humbiru, that immorality. And believe me, there's some that think I won't, but I will, because I am determined to. And I have taken my life in stages because I intend to be here. That's another thing. That's personal. Lord, to keep that personal. But let me continue. When you have engrafted the true hero of your consciousness into your being, when Yeshua is in me, morality is increasing, ethics is increasing, purpose, unconditional love is increasing. What is decreasing is the filthiness of the world, the carnality, the sensuous self-seeking nature, self-serving, both nature of the world. That's what's being cast out. That's what's being annihilated. So let's just finish up that. We'll have to parallelize the experience of followers of Christ and these hero wannabes. Let me continue. So people are taken by the fact that these people are very intelligent, very spirited, and very aware. And their awareness is so strong that in their presence, people say they feel like, oh, like, you know, they're in the presence of some awesome being. And this sense of wanting then, that is why people give financial, give of their physicality, their bodies, and their spiritual life force to these entities, to these individuals. Now, people say to me, well, Jerome, I like, you know, you talk some stuff, you know, but cults have been around forever since, you know, let's just get that clear. So, you know, I reason on I would say a balanced ratio, right? So I'm not a quirk where that is concerned. So yes, cults have been around forever. Doesn't make them correct. Don't make them right. So let me just say that. So to someone who's thinking I'm like, trying to make a jab. Come on. It's been around. We have seen the end result of many of these cults in the lives of the individuals who join these, let me be nice, these organizations. And these organizations that have these individuals that are placating themselves as godlike creatures and then asking others to really supply their life force to keep this demonic iconography going, they will fall in due course. But in this age, they are rising up ever more because they are a response to the disenchantment and the disenfranchisement within the accepted society. People are really rebelling against these iconographies that they've been given because they have found inherent flaws that their parents and their grandparents were basically limited by when they could have been more in the spirit of Yah or more in the spirit of life. Let's just use a general term. In my realization, I've come to realize that we should treasure our own voice. If someone is to think for us, then our actions are already in their doing. If someone is to speak for us, then our voice is already in their speaking. So we should be very careful of how much we treasure, how much we value the input of these individuals to the point where we are willing to vacate our own consciousness, our own presence from ourselves and supplant their presence within ourselves. That is something we should be very careful of. I'm not saying don't support organizations online or organizations or individuals who is doing a good work. People are placated along many avenues of thought. But where that thought or that information they're offering you is emptying you of you and filling themselves up of you, I don't think you need no great philosophical maxim idiom to say that that's not working, that's not healthy for you, that's not good for you or your children to be grown up into such an enculturalization that is far away from anything that is natural, wholesome, or truly beneficial to our well-being, certainly to your well-being and the well-being of that dysfunctional family that you are creating. For those who do not understand cultism, and I know there's some people that says, well, one time looking like me and following through the Rastafari pantheon would have been an occultic practice. So what am I to say? Listen, remember, I say no judgments here. I talk in what I see and what touches my heart by the grace of the Most High's inspiration in me to say. So listen, people will pronounce statements and say, yes, this lifestyle is a cultic lifestyle, or it's a cult. That's true. People will say that. But then, what I would say to people in such a context is examine the end result of this lifestyle. And if we're talking about, let's look at Rastafari versus, let's look at the Jonestown cult. We can say the people that were all killed off in Guyana, right? Let's use Shingang, maybe I'm mispronouncing it, but the one in Japan a couple years back. Let's look at those cults, right? One, if we're using the terminology to look at Rastafari, one as a tenet, Christ is in the midst of all the Rastafari perception, even though some might want to negate that now, but that was always the case. A certain kind of respect of ancestry and biblical principles is the enculturalization and the actualization of the Rastaman's principles, right? So, life, the preservation of life in its natural form, respect for that life, are tenets of the Rastafari viewpoint. Now look at these other cults. Look at Jonestown. The sense of putting oneself as the Christ, as the Messiah, as the God of creation. Certainly, the God made manifest, the man God according to some philosophy. And as the man God, you are then saying, using biblical terminology here, to then say you're going to isolate your flock, like the words that come out of my people, into these specific little regions of the earth, and then you're going to pronounce the entire destiny of these individuals. You choose for them how they serve you. Now, is that parallel? Is that comparable, rather, to Rastafari, who carries a message of non-violence, care for the natural environment, for animals, respect for political institutions, regardless of your disdain for their ways and their means, true respect for our religious culture and religious independence? When you think about it, were these cults like the one in Japan, with their central figures claiming to take people out of Babylon or out of the treacherous society, are they really offering a message for life? I don't need to answer that question. You can answer it. But don't take my word for it. My encouragement to you, my full encouragement to you, to use the Rastafari terminology, is to say to you, speak with your own words. Speak with your own voice. Be in your own words. Be in your own voice. Be your own words. Be your own voice. And if the voice you choose to emulate is the voice of the Holy Spirit, believe me, where you will get to is your true, natural birthright of a destination. It's language. I can style it the way I want to. The thoughts are coming so salubriously fast. It is the true engrafting, the true allowing of the divine morals to take root in you when you follow the Christ-like principles, when you follow Yeshua, when you follow Jesus Christ. You are steering yourself in a direction that ultimately will afford you the blessings of yourself, the gift of yourself, to then have it procreate as your personal family, to have it manifest as your ambitions, as your well-being, as your ways of life. Speaking as your own voice, living as your own word, is the divine translation as you, is the divine emanation and manifestation as you, myself, and all that we are. It is essential to understand that the divine creator is authentic, is the source of authenticity. There is no deception in him. There just isn't, and it isn't possible. So, when one comes to the awareness that your own words carry a vibrational energy which is aligned to where you are. I have a friend that used to say, the spirit speaks the heart, or the heart speaks the spirit. And it's essential to understand that the wavelength you're vibrating at causes your vocal mechanism to actualize, to verbalize a certain way. A certain alignment of the words creates a vibrational output and stimulation in the cosmic. So literally speaking your own words does excite the cosmic in a way that no other can, because the codes you unlock as you is different and not akin to the codes that I unlock as Jerome. So it is so essential to have your own voice. I remember people say, well, you know, there's a certain pitch and a certain tone through music to hit a certain level of, you know, respect or command the attention, and some would say demand the attention, whichever way, lower or higher consciousness. What I've found though, however, is that speaking in your own voice is the only true ripple that will affect the cosmic. I'm having a good relationship of late with the angels and the messengers. Why? Because I've accepted them more in my life, and you know, it's seeing your character, seeing who you are. There's some little attitudes I have as a person, and those attitudes are a little stubbornness, right? I already agreed to do this work, and I'm living by the grace of the work, but I can be a stubborn person, you know. And see, the fact that I'm even doing it on camera is just to show how stubborn I am. But I have to be honest because I already gave this vow. So hear me. When one has that true sense of themselves, the vocal resonance affects the cosmic in a specific way. The patterns of your existence are you. So if you want to truly be outside of the torment, stop living in the voice of others, in the words of others, in the designs of others, because they know the end results. They designed them. So I'm not negating that times are serious. I'm not a shallow-minded person to not understand the value of these things, but I'm saying to you, what is happening is that you've given your power away. And these individuals who are all of a sudden just popping up on the platforms, on the scene, as we would say, are now taking mass swathes of people, of course, humble. Because these people aren't willing to get down in the mud, in the dirt, in the earth, and grow from the true spirit of I am. And that is what's causing a lot of disparities. Willingly giving your life's energy, your life's essence to the cause of someone else. Remember what I said earlier? Lots of people say good things. The nature of me presenting this, I have to present it this way. So you should even doubt Jerome to question me. Shadow. Because this deception is there. So don't play like, whoa, you don't know. Listen. Pay attention. You are giving your voice over to others to speak your reality. How could you complain about the end result? You have to command that result in your presence, in your own voice, in your own words. Be your own words, be your own voice. Engrafting from the true voice of the Supreme, Yeshua, Divine Yahuwah, The supreme in manifestation of my highest desire, my willpower, is conditioned to my knowing, to my being. I know where I grew up. I know the circumstances that has caused me, led me rather, to this point to be doing these videos. I know the drives within my spirit that maintains me doing these videos because I have found myself. And my encouragement, full encouragement to you, my most deepest motivation to you is to find your own voice, find your own words, speak your own voice, speak your own words, live your own voice, live your own words. It is essential that the divine becomes awakened in you to the chakra of your heart, to the very essence of your being. Awake to the true self, that this existence may be colored with the gift that is you. And when we say that you are this gift, you won't think it's a pre-designed notion in my mind just to sound cute on camera. I'm not selling environmental parity or plausibility or even environmental clarity. I always remind you, I'm sharing my life, my existence, my experience, what the Most High has put on my heart, in my mind, in my emotions, to share with whom wants to hear, to listen, to learn. To share is to care. And I'm expressing the true understanding of caring for more than just the personal self, for caring for the outcomes of others. I've found that is something that is very essential within me as a person. And it's a part of my identity, which I hold steadfast to. So I would share even the awkwardness, if it can just help someone to not feel taken aback by their own awkwardness. So you can understand. The Lord doesn't take your identity. He doesn't. He cares about how you appear. He cares about the culmination of your thoughts and behaviors as the experience you're living. He cares about the subtle and he cares about the gross. And in most divine subtlety in this moment, I'm saying to you, I entreat you to find your true voice, the true words of your being. Engraft in yourself the true presence of Yeshua. Allow for that divine realms of existence to be the realms in which you are. It is the realms from whence we came. And I should entreat you that it is the realm to which we are to return. Blessings for sharing yet another moment with me as we examine speaking in your own words and speaking with your own voice. As we learn to be confident in who we are, in how we are, and the gifts that Yah has made us, for the parents we've been gifted with, and for the offsprings we've been gifted with, the siblings we've been gifted with, the communities we've been gifted with, and how it is that we can live and have our beings within this living cosmos. And that unique expression, you, I, or any of us, or rather all of us, can then be expressed in all its myriad forms. And then you look in the crowd, in the mass, and say, well, that's my son, that's my daughter. Because there's just such a unique essence, presence, that one could never deny, the gifts of God. I remind you, be very careful of giving your words and your voice to someone else. Equally be very careful of speaking in someone else's subtle words and in someone else's voice. If you engraft any things from these, it should be the sparking of your own and your own understanding, your own overstanding of your own. And Christ will bless your own. Christ is the blessing of your own. And that is your reclamation, our reclamation. Blessings and love as I come to see you, know you as you truly are, and you get to see and know me as I truly am. Hear my real words, though they be inspired by Yah, and hear my real voice, though it is inspired by Yah, designed and created by Yah. So I am a stamp coming from the celestial house, designed and created, and is functional, so to be. And I think I like that. And that helps my evolution in my self-perception and my self-presence. Blessings, love, gentle kisses on the cheeks for the newborn babies, and even a kiss on the forehead of blessing. To you mothers, to you fathers, be strong, be heartful, and be kind to each other. Let's take care of each other, and society won't just be a word, it will be the people and our ways of being. Love to you, honor to you, continue on the path of fulfillment. Remember that you're an awesome blessing to yourself, to your family, to your community. Continue to be that blessing. Until next we meet again. I'm Jerome Sage Butler. Reasonings right here at the Tree of Life.